Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast. My name is Andy Spiteri, alongside Dakota Lasky. What's up, Dak? How you doing?
I am I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. Not too bad. Yeah, nothing crazy. We were just talking about the show. I watched Forbidden Door last night, which was cool. Been playing some new games recently. I'm doing all right. I'm preparing myself for an Oppenheimer Barbie doubleheader,
Yes, yeah, we're going to
which I think
see.
everybody needs to be
We're going to Barbie
getting ready
this.
for.
Wait, it comes out this weekend, right?
I don't know. I haven't actually planned this, but I want to.
It's
I don't
next
know when
month.
I
Next
Oh,
month.
whatever it's coming out. I'm going to see Barbie, and as you just heard, we have him back. He's back on the show after a little bit of a hiatus. We have got Doominal Crossing. Doom, where have you been for the last month? What's going on?
Oh, what a saga it's been. Well, for those who didn't hear, I believe you said a couple episodes back, but my laptop was stolen. So it's been a little difficult for me to get on the podcast. Currently, I'm on my phone. I was able to finally get my headset mic working, and so I felt it was appropriate that I get back. But I'm also in the process of building a gaming PC that should be finished in about a day or so. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. I gotta say, as someone who's never built a PC before, this has been an incredibly fun and fulfilling experience. And yeah,
and
I've had a lot of
fulfilling.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun putting this thing together.
Those are interesting words. I wouldn't have described building a PC, but I'm glad that you're having a good time.
You know what I did when I
It's like
upgraded my
building Legos
PC?
almost.
Is it real? I paid extra for someone else to build it because I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like I'm not a PC guy. Like, you put it together, make it the best it can be, and bill me. Like, but you know what? Good for you. Good for you for doing the work, putting in the time. I'm sure that it will. I'm sure that once you're up and rocking, it'll be awesome. So it's good to have you back, Doom.
It's great to be back, man. I've missed being on here. And yeah, I'm really just, I was saying this before the show, I'm just really grateful that, everything on my laptop was backed up beforehand, because that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's. We got a lot to get into here today. There was, as Nintendo does, they announced out of nowhere, like an RKO out of nowhere, they announced a Nintendo Direct that I think they gave us like 16 hours of lead time, which actually is probably like a decent amount of lead time compared to how they usually roll. But so we got a Nintendo Direct, and I think like watching the Direct, and we'll give our reactions to some of the games shown, what we liked, what we didn't like, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know about you gentlemen, but I had a very, very clear takeaway from this Direct, and that was that, and I mean, it's obvious, but like, I think it was just really punctuated that the Switch is on its last legs. Like, this is the last hurrah for the Nintendo Switch, and I think you can see that by, like, I don't want to say the quality of games that were announced, because there were a lot of really good looking titles that were shown, but like, I think like when you start to see like lots of remakes and lots of again, I don't want to be dismissive, but like kind of B or C tier franchises kind of show up. It kind of gives me the impression that like the next Mario Odyssey is coming for the Switch too. The next obviously the next Zelda's coming for the Switch too. The next, you know what I mean? Like the next big franchises are coming to the Switch too. And that was my big takeaway from this Nintendo Direct. And we'll talk about Metroid specifically in a second here. But did you guys have kind of the same, I guess, like kind of feeling watching this? And Doom, since you haven't been on here, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say, despite the lack of Metroid, I just want to say that I really enjoyed the Direct overall, but we'll get into that later, obviously. But yeah, I think I'm definitely in agreement there. I definitely got the feeling, not specifically the remakes, but there's a lot of ports that are coming to Switch specifically, and 2018 also had a lot of ports, but I mean that's a bit different because of the whole Wii U scenario and kind of that quick transition to the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand why Nintendo in 2018 would use that Wii U library, especially because the Switch, I believe it came out earlier than they were initially going to it. And they were initially going to release it, so they kind of needed the stopgap for 2018. Here, it's a little bit different. I'm definitely getting the idea that like these ports are coming as kind of a way so that you don't just have one game coming out during the Switch's final year. And I don't necessarily think that 2024 is going to be the last year. I think it could also be, we could see maybe the next console come out in like early 2025, similar to like the Switch or the 3DS, something like that. But I definitely think we're hitting the end of the railroad track here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like I'm about to be like just contradicting you guys, or like just being devil's advocate for argument's sake. But I mean, I on one hand I agree that I mean the Switch is old. Obviously, I think we're towards the end of its lifetime than like anywhere else. But I don't know if last legs is the way to put it. Because I actually like this direct. I felt like for the first time in a little while, I had a direct where I was like, I'm actually looking forward to a bunch of games that are coming out for the Switch, which I can't say I've felt for quite some time. Even when I wanted Dread to come out, it was just Dread. It wasn't like it was a bunch of games. Sure, like one of them's a remake, but it's not really like Super Mario RPG gets like re-released a bunch or remade, has been remade. Like it almost feels like it would be an entirely new game for a lot of people, to be honest. And then you have the Luigi's Mansion 2 remaster, okay, and then the Pikmin remasters, but you have a new WarioWare game, you have new DLC for Splatoon, new DLC for Pokemon, new Detective Pikachu game, which someone's getting that. Like there's still, and then 2 new Mario games. Like I still feel like I wouldn't say last legs. I think it actually kind of goes to show like just the longevity that the Switch has. I mean, there's still, even though like, yeah, we're not going to get our new 3D Mario on the Switch, but a new 2D Mario that seems to be pretty like trying to do some new things. Like it's still a pretty big release, I would say, for the Switch. And Super Mario RPG, I feel like is gonna do decently. They're still putting out stuff for Splatoon and Pokemon. Yeah, I guess last legs is, you could put it that way, but I actually thought the direct was pretty good. I mean, the new Peach game looks like it could be fun. But yeah, they're definitely probably saving the huge, like they're not going to put out, I don't think, like you said, the next 3D Mario on the Switch. Probably it'll be probably cross-platform, but I don't think it's going to release solely for the Switch. No.
I think that's a good point.
Going off. Well, I was just gonna say, going off that, like I think I'm in agreement there to where like I'm definitely getting the sense that, obviously we're winding down now, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be like a typical last year of a console, because like the last year of the Wii U, it was Skyward Sword HD, I believe, and or just regular Skyward Sword, not the HD.
Twilight Princess.
I think that was like the only major release before the Wii U came out. And then the Wii U just didn't have anything except for, Breath of the Wild, but I mean, does that really count? I don't know.
I guess I would say this. I don't disagree really with what you're saying at all, Dak. And maybe last legs is not quite the proper.
Yeah, that
way
sounds
to put
too
it.
dour to me. Like it's not like, yeah, it's not at its prime in terms of releasing games, but like they're still dishing out some pretty decent games. It doesn't feel like the Switch is like, it doesn't feel like, oh, the next console is like, and like nothing's happening on the Switch. Like I could still see them ride this out a little longer than I think people could expect.
I think maybe a more appropriate phrasing, maybe like the Switch is winding down. Like it's kind of getting to its senior years, if you will, and it's not a young puppy anymore. Let's just put it that way.
No.
No, and by the way, like I thought that this direct was actually really good. I'm not trying to say that I didn't think that it was a good direct. One thing about this direct that I really, really appreciated, and this is probably just a me thing, but like for like the last 4 years, every single Nintendo Direct, every single Game Awards, every single everything that I did, we were waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 or Tears of the Kingdom news to cover for Zelda Dungeon. So with that game, like, finally out, it actually, for me, it kind of felt like a big weight was off, and like I could finally like enjoy it.
Release.
Like honestly though, it was like I could just enjoy whatever's coming, and I don't have to be frustrated if there's no Tears of the Kingdom. I don't have to try and come up with a bunch of topics for the podcast. But like I was watching it and I was just like, yeah, like I think that this is like kind of a direct that shows that the Switch is winding down, because there's a lot of ports, there's a lot of DLC, but like I don't know, is that like the worst thing? I don't think so. So yeah, I did enjoy the direct actually like quite a lot. But I will say, so one other thing that I think to me is like abundantly crystal clear is that Metroid Prime 4 is not going to, and let me rephrase that. It probably is going to release on the Switch, but it's also going to release on the Switch too at this point. I think that's pretty evident, and I wonder how, like, if the game is as like refined as we think that it might be, just based off of Metroid Prime HD, I do wonder how that's going to run on Switch, because I mean, I think if they don't release it on the Switch too, maybe even as a launch title, I really don't know what Nintendo's doing, because that's almost like giving it the Samus Returns kiss of death by releasing it on the Switch. And I guess you could make the argument that like there's 100 million Switches out there in the wild, but I think Nintendo fans, when a new console comes out, tend to move on fairly quickly, as you kind of saw with the 3DS. So I don't know, maybe not, but I think that was my other takeaways. It's very clear to me that like this is going to be a cross-gen title at this point.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I don't want to just say this is my idea. I feel like a lot of people online have been speculating that it's going to be a cross-gen title for a while, and I'm definitely leaning harder in that direction than ever at this direct. I'm not, if we were doing a Samus's percent, I wouldn't quite go 95 or 100. I will say, if we do not see this game this year at all, then I'm going to be fully on board. Which
Right.
I'm already pretty on board, but like that's gonna fully tip the scales for me. Is if we do not see this game at all this year, and Dak, actually, you mentioned something in the Discord that got me thinking, and I'm pretty sure I agree with you now. Where you're thinking that if it is a cross-gen title, we're probably not going to see this game before the next console is announced, and I'm definitely in agreement with you there now. So. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the big thing I'm looking out for now. Not necessarily Prime 4, but when that new console gets announced, because I feel like that's going to be like our first stepping stone to getting Prime 4 info at this point.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I honestly, especially after how many episodes we've done, sometimes like conversations we have on the podcast and ones we have on the Discord like blend together in my head, and I can't remember if I talked about it on the show or on Discord. So please, if you're listening, go on the Discord so that way if I get mixed up, you saw it somehow. But anyway, yeah, we talked about that. I definitely agree. At this point, they're not gonna they're not gonna show up Metroid Prime 4 the Switch version when we could see it in the Switch 2 version, and they're not going to show up the Switch 2 version unless they've shown up the Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of how I feel about it. And I feel like historically that's usually for games that are planned to be both next gen and current gen. They usually show it for the next gen console if a next gen console is on its way, if not already out.
Yeah.
Unless the game gets delayed for some reason. But Metroid Prime 4 also got delayed. As I said in the Discord conversation, I would not be surprised if when the game was restarted, Nintendo handed Retro a game dev kit to some extent that had something to do with the next gen console, that they were in parallel path developing that. I'm jealous of the cat that just jumped on your desk. I wonder where my cat is. Yeah. I think at this point that's kind of, I personally, a foregone conclusion. And at the very least, and then that comes down to, is Metroid Prime 4 a launch title, or is it going to be released a little bit after that? And depending on how long it's been in development for, and we know it's been for a while, I would have to imagine it's coming out close to the launch window, hopefully, which would be hype, but maybe not. But yeah, I think we're not going to see it until we see the new system, at least.
That would kind of be my prediction. And I was thinking like I was pretty sure even going into this, like at this point, like we haven't seen it. It seems likely like that it's coming to the Switch 2 even before the Direct was announced. And I was like, okay, if there's any chance that this is coming to the Switch, it's probably coming this year, and we probably have to see it at this Direct, which is kind of like E3 time, or used to be E3. By the way, RIP, because it sounds like E3 is never coming back.
Yeah, didn't it say
it's so over?
They canceled it for next year and the year after.
Man, can I just take a quick tangent of that? I honestly will. I don't know. E3 was cool back in the day, man. Like I will miss E3. Like I missed the E3 season. Like it felt like, I don't know. It was like it
was a big deal. Like
it had a lot of new games coming out.
I love E3, man.
Yeah, E3 was cool. I mean, Summer Game Fest is cool too, but like there was something about E3. Like I remember, like watching the G4 coverage back in the day, like growing up, like that stuff was awesome. So I will miss it.
You know why Summer Games doesn't hit, and the Game Awards too, for that matter, is because all you see is a bunch of crappy trailers. And like E3 of old had like cool stage presence and like cool like presenters and stuff like that. And like the Game Awards is like kind of close to that, but not really.
Well, the Game Awards are like an award show, so like I'll give it a pass there. But like Summer Game Fest, I can see what you're saying.
To be fair, I thought the Game Awards last year was decent enough. I'd give it at least a B for last year.
Yeah,
I loved the Game Awards last year because I was there in person, and it was pretty sick.
That's right.
But I've been to E3 in person as well, and I mean I enjoyed E3 a lot more. But they're completely different things. One's an award show, one is like an expo, obviously. So like they're completely different beasts.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like E3 week was like always my favorite time of the year, and so losing that, it feels like
Yeah.
a large portion of my life is just kind of gone now.
Like
Like it's obviously not that big of a deal. I'm being very
a
hyperbolic,
large portion
like,
of your life.
Yeah, well, you know what
E3
though? Like,
coverage was so critical to my personality.
I have very fond memories of like covering E3 for various podcasts and like, just like sitting around and watching. Like, I will miss it, and I think that is too bad that it's gone. And you know, I think that it will be missed, and I don't think anything's been able to replicate it really.
No,
which
I
is
don't
too
think
bad.
anything will too, because I
No.
feel like that's just kind of how games, media, and media in general has changed. Where everything is so
Well, when you can
split up and
stream all your
separated, and you can
announcements,
do all your own stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to host. Why should I pay them to present this stuff, or I can just present it myself?
And
in a
why
YouTube
should
video?
why should I share the headlines with everything else announced if I can just have, you know, like a Nintendo
I
Direct?
can pick, yeah,
Exactly.
at any time. Yeah, exactly. So
and why would I do a live presentation where someone is just going to clip me and put me in a cringe compilation when I could do something very scripted and not have to worry about that too?
I will miss the
I miss.
E3
I miss
cringe. I miss
I
the
love
E3
the cringe
cringe.
compilations.
Yeah, I mean, I miss that kind of stuff. I remember like how Microsoft would always have their conference on like the Sunday before everyone else, even though everyone else like Tuesday, and it was just that's just how it was. And it was, I don't know, it's kind
They'd
of
always
cool.
bring
Like,
a car out on stage for Forza.
they did one expo that was in like a big outdoor, like almost like Red Rocks looking kind of like amphitheater outside. And I remember that. That was cool. Yeah, those I remember the E3 coverage. Like I always, and yeah, they did like the cool tech demos. Like everyone kind of had like a Nintendo Treehouse moment, kind of almost.
It was great. Like I think the last truly great E3 moment, or at least for me, was like the Breath of the Wild E3, where like that was the only thing they had, but it looked so cool and like it just like it was awesome. And I don't know, I have some other favorite memories like giant enemy crabs and like the Nintendo Muppets and stuff like that, like the Skyward
Wii
Sword
music.
debacle. Wii music, yeah.
Wii music.
Oh
Come
my
on.
God.
Oh my lord.
Come on. But
Pac-Man
I-
versus. Oof.
I do think like a lot of that though is now it's hard to not hard to anticipate when like big Nintendo releases are going to come out, but like now it's just whenever Nintendo kind of decides
Yeah.
they're going to
Yeah.
tell you, whereas like back in the day you could at least expect like, okay, around this time of year you're guaranteed to get some news.
You could
for
book
whatever
the
they're
day off
planning.
work if you really wanted to cover it. And instead of like, it's just like, oh god, they announced a Nintendo Direct in 8 hours. Should I call them 6 so I can
In
podcast
8
it?
minutes,
Yeah,
Nintendo
yeah.
Direct.
Oh man.
It's 40 minutes.
Okay, where were we talking about? Oh yeah, okay. So anyways, so since it's around E3 too, my thought was like, if Metroid Prime 4 is coming out this year, we're probably gonna have to see it here, and I didn't think we were going to, and we didn't. So yeah, that tells me that it's definitely coming on the next system, and I think it's possible and maybe even probable that we do see a glimpse of the next system before the year is out. But I certainly don't think that we're seeing Metroid Prime 4 until we see that.
I
don't
kind
think
of
we see the system this year.
I was gonna say I originally thought the same thing until we saw that new 2D Mario, and I was like, that there's no way they show off a new system until that game is out, and I'm pretty sure that game comes out in October, and everyone
Yeah.
thinks the Direct is gonna happen in September, and I just that's like that if we're talking about like last legs for the Switch, I could be like seeing that as their last big release, and then after that they show off new
Well,
like
actually,
early next year.
I don't disagree
I
with
don't know.
that inherently because I think what they could. I don't think it would be part of a Nintendo Direct. Actually, I think it would probably just be like its own little mini announcement. Like you remember when they kind of did that like really small NX announcement where they like announced it and revealed it and whatever, and it was its own thing. I think that they could probably do that, and they could probably do that in November, December, something like that, and then maybe January, February, March, like have a full on. This is what we got going on. This is Metroid Prime 4. This is, you know, what you can look forward to on the next Switch, etc., etc. I'm really curious to see like what the next console is going to be because like logic would dictate, at least to me, that it's just like kind of the same. It's backwards compatible. It's a more powerful version of the Switch, but like who knows, man? With Nintendo, it seems like when they have a hit, they make something completely different and not what people want afterwards. So I'm curious to see what the next system's going to be.
So my thinking about this is it's actually in regards to Super Mario Brothers Wonder. You know, a lot of people are looking at that game and thinking of it as this kind of small scale title. I don't think people realize most 2D Marios outsell 3D Marios. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case with Odyssey, just because that had such a head start, and this is coming out near the end of the Switch's life cycle. So I'm gonna guess probably not in this case. But 2D Mario games sell gangbusters, and I do not believe for a second that Nintendo is going to announce a console near when that game releases, because they want that, because that game is going to have legs. They want that game to have a good amount of momentum before they announce their plans to move on from that. And so that's why I'm thinking, one, I'm thinking that, we're not going to see a console announcement for at least a few months after that game's released. And then two, that's why I'm kind of in the ballpark where I'm thinking Switch 2 is, holiday 2024 or spring 2025. I don't think it's going to be, a spring 2024 very soon.
No, I think it's already too late for that. Like I think like I not that I know anything, but like I feel like if you were going to launch a new system, like you'd need a good 9-month build up to that, maybe to show people what it is, have a demonstration of like some new games that you got going on. And I think like if it were to launch in the spring, it's already too late. So I agree with your timeline, although I don't agree. I think that they could still show it right around when Mario Wonder comes out, because it's going to sell regardless. It doesn't matter. I don't think that if you showed off a new console, that's going to cut off the legs of Mario Wonder, but I can see what you're saying.
I mean, I'm with Doom on that. I do think that they'll just try to. I mean, ultimately, Odyssey will probably still end up being the best-selling Switch game, but it's been out for however many years. I mean, New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which is also a port, still sold 15 million units. Like, I do think they're going to try to get as much juice for the squeeze as they can, and I don't see why they would counter, I guess, market each other by having Super Mario Brothers Wonder and then also trying to draw. I mean, I guess in a way it doesn't really draw attention away to. You can have both simultaneously, but I do think they probably just want to like have this release come out and still considered a big release for them probably, and then maybe tease it around the release of Wonder or something like. And like look forward to this for next year. I don't know, something like that. But I wouldn't be. I really think if we're seeing this system, it's early next year at the earliest.
It would surprise you actually to learn that there is not a single Mario game. That's not true. There's Mario Kart, but there's not a traditional Mario game of the top 5 selling games on the Switch right now. I just googled that really quick. I'm surprised.
Yeah, but Odyssey's the 6th, and it's only the 6th by less than 1 million units from Pokemon. So it might as well be in the top 5.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I was just surprised at that, actually.
Yeah. I think it's pretty incredible how well Breath of the Wild did, honestly. Like, those sales figures, like, even from, like, 5 years ago, just continue to blow me away. Like, never in my lifetime would I have ever expected a Zelda title to outsell, like, a traditional, like, mainline Mario title. That's, like, it's unprecedented. This is the first time it's ever happened.
It might not be the last, 'cause, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom sold 10 million copies in, like, 3 days. So we'll have to wait and see.
It's still the number 1 selling game on Amazon. It is a monster right now.
Anyways, I don't necessarily think that like launching a new title or a new system rather undercuts anything that Super Mario Wonder might do. We can talk a little bit more about Super Mario Wonder in a bit. I see what you guys are saying. I don't know if I'm completely sold on that. And I want to talk about something that I know that you guys aren't sold on, Metroid related. So one of the things that we saw in this Nintendo Direct was a upscaled remastered version of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which is a fantastic video game, by the way. It is so fun. I love Luigi's Mansion just in general. I love that series. It's so fun. And a couple of years, I saw you tweet something, Doom, and I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I pinned that message. So I went back into our Discord, and I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I pinned a message that said, Samus Returns will make its way some way, somehow to Nintendo Switch before the end of the Switch's life. And I feel a little bit emboldened now, gentlemen, by that. Not a lot, but just a little, okay? I don't think it's impossible anymore. When I said that, I was mostly thinking that they might, like, just slam it on the eShop or like something like that, or even NSO, but I don't know, like, maybe... That would, again, if you're in the final days of the Switch and you're looking for a smaller, cheaper kind of game to fill up a month, like, you could do worse than porting Samus Returns, giving it a second chance.
So here's my stance on it, because beforehand I would have said it's impossible. I'm still not saying it's very likely, but Again, Samus percentages, the needle, we're moving it from like a 5 to a 10 now. I think we're going places.
Okay.
Not very far.
Okay.
Not very far. We're just going to the gas station. We're not going on a road trip, but we're going places. The car is moving at this point, and
All I can
And
think of in
so-
my head is like Captain Jack Sparrow. Oh, but you have heard of me. Like,
yes. But no, this is kind of my thinking. I need to see more. I need to see more first, because like I'm one of two minds of this. Nintendo, they're a weird company. I could absolutely see, someone from Nintendo just sitting one day and be like, "Hey, remember that game Luigi's Mansion Dark Room or Dark Moon? Let's put that on the Switch." Sure. And then that's as far as the thought goes. That is the most Nintendo thing that I could ever imagine, honestly. Or, however, and this is another thought that I imagine, and granted, this is more wishful thinking, pie in the sky here, but, we used to get Wii U ports on the Switch every single year. Usually more than one, but at least one up until Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury, which was in early 2021. And as far as I
up till they
recall,
ran
that's
out
the
of
last
games.
one. Yeah. As far as I recall, that's the last port that we've gotten, and that's like 2.5 years ago now. And so I don't think it's impossible that perhaps Nintendo is looking at, okay, we brought, most of the Wii U stuff that we wanted to do. What's next? Maybe we start bringing 3DS stuff over now, which that would be awesome. Again, this is Nintendo, so perhaps a bit optimistic thinking, but I certainly hope that's the case, because there's, a lot of really good 3DS games, and, being able to play them at, with custom textures and higher resolutions, maybe even better frame rates, maybe like that. That would be amazing. And Dark Moon is the only Luigi's Mansion I haven't played yet, so that's going to be a day one buy for me, because
so
I love
fun.
Luigi's Mansion 1 and 3. So
okay, so Dak, I want your opinion, but I want to throw another question at you too to answer as well regarding this.
Oh my god.
So,
Two questions.
two questions. Okay, so
Go
number
ahead.
one, are we crazy? Which don't answer too
Yeah.
honestly. Come
Yeah.
on, at least let me
Samus Returns
finish.
is not coming to the Switch. If it's not, unless they start putting 3DS games on the eShop. It's not
All right.
coming.
Well, this is the second part to my question. Assuming maybe it does happen, there's a way. Okay.
Okay.
Assuming
Okay.
maybe that happens. The only, like I kind of laid out, I could see them releasing Samus Returns if it ever happened. I could see them doing it in like the kind of the final days of the Switch as kind of like a placeholder game, something to fill up maybe the month of, I don't know, August or whatever, right? Is that better or worse than just releasing it in the same kind of dead spot on the 3DS? Like, do you think it would do any better if they released it in kind of that similar, I guess, time in a console's life?
I mean, it would be better because it's on the Switch, not the 3DS. More people probably buy it. I don't think there's any difference.
You don't think so?
Not really. I don't know. I don't think it's happening, so I think it's kind of a non-issue. I mean, it's because like, is putting Samus Returns out there like really like a placeholder like game for a month? Is that really even necessary? They could just not release a game. It might as is it really going to make any waves? I don't really think so.
if anything, Prime Remastered was the placeholder.
I don't think so. Like, you look at Nintendo's release schedule, and there's always kind of those games. They're certainly not the A or not even necessarily the B tier games, but like, you look at a game like an Astral Chain or like a Fire Emblem Engage and like those kind of titles, and it's like, or any of those garbage Kirby ports that come up and they have a new
right, but
gimmick or
those
whatever.
games are coming out during the game's like kind of active like earlier lifespan. So I think it's more important to have those stopgap games. Whereas if people are kind of moving on from the system or they've had it for 6 years, I don't think it's necessarily as important that you need to have a big release or some kind of important release every quarter, every month, because like there's already a ton of games, a lot of third-party support now. And if Samus Returns really going to be that game to really do that? I mean, not for nothing, but Fire Emblem Engage, I don't have to look it up, but I'm sure sold way better than Samus Returns did. So, yeah, I don't know.
It just occurred to me. I know why Andy loved this direct so much. There wasn't any Kirby. That's why he loved it.
I swear
Was
to
there
you
no
guys,
Kirby?
there was not. And I swear as God is my witness, I was like, this
There
is
was no
gonna
Kirby.
be a direct where like we're winding down with the Switch. What does Nintendo do when they need to fill up their release calendar? Bam! What can we slap Kirby's gimmick with today? Like what new gimmick haven't we tried with? A Kirby dancing game? Let's do it. A Kirby I don't
I'll
know,
play that.
a Kirby
Yeah,
snowboarding
that
game.
sounds fun. I'd do that.
I would play a Kirby snowboarding game. You cannot sit here and argue that a Kirby snowboarding game would be not fun.
It would
That
not
would be so much fun.
It would not be fun, and let me tell you why. Because Kirby's in it. I hate Kirby.
It's gonna
That'd
be a
fun.
green eggs and
It'd
ham
have like
situation
Meta
with
Knight
you.
and King Dedede in it.
Oh.
Okay, so anyway, Samus Returns not coming to Switch, for sure. It took them this long to bring Dark Moon to the Switch, and they didn't. And I feel like we're overthinking this. The reason why they brought Dark Moon to the Switch, I would have to imagine, is because Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of the best-selling games on the Switch of on period. I think it's in the top 10, if not the top 15.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're not wrong.
And Dark Moon, I believe, was also in the top 10 or top 15 of the 3DS. It also sold a lot. In comparison, Samus Returns didn't even break 1 million units sold on the 3DS. It's very obvious, at least to me, that what they see is, oh, we have a game that's not available on the Switch, but people like Luigi's Mansion. Let's port a very popular 3DS game to the Switch. It'll sell a lot as it did on the 3DS, whereas Samus Returns didn't sell on the 3DS. I have it right here. There are at least 54, if not more, games that sold better than Samus Returns on the 3DS, which means at least 50 options more, but more likely, I think, to be ported to the Switch just on that basis alone. But on branding wise, I mean, Luigi's Mansion is selling great on both consoles. It makes a lot of sense they would port that. So as much as I would love to see Samus Returns show up on the Switch, and you know what, maybe it does show up on the Switch, but I don't think we're going to get like a dedicated port like that. I feel like it would be like, for some reason, they bring 3DS games to the eShop and Samus Returns on it. I don't really see them.
And I can see that, like, maybe, right? Like, I think that's probably more likely than them, like, up-resing and doing that.
Maybe. And maybe they do bring it because, like, they want to kind of make all of the mainline Metroid games available, but at the same time, they could also argue it already is, because you can technically play the original Metroid 2 on current-gen consoles, and likely the next-gen console will have the same eShop. So they may not be in a big rush to port Samus Returns, because you can technically play all the games through the mainline series. So yeah, I don't see it. I would be very surprised at this point if Samus Returns. It took them this long for Dark Moon to make it on. They're the bottom of the barrel is here, and then Samus Returns is below it in terms of like where they're trying to get to port games. I'm not talking about the quality of the games, obviously. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot more they would dig through to get to Samus Returns, and they have to ignore all that other stuff, which I doubt they would do.
Okay, I just want to say one thing. So your facts and your evidence are crushing my dreams, so cut that out. And then okay. I would say, like, I do think
I'm sorry.
I like everything sold better than Samus.
I feel like
Returns.
a contrarian today.
Well,
I know, but
that's fine. But I will say, like, I do think that there was circumstances with Samus Returns that also contributed to how poorly it sold. Namely, that the Switch was already out, and it should have just been a Switch game from the hop. So,
yeah, Doom, you were gonna say something?
Yeah,
so I was gonna say, like, so I'm definitely still in the camp that I don't think that Samus Returns is very likely again. I need to see more 3DS ports first before I go. And Luigi Dark Moon is just kind of me starting to raise my eyebrow, kind of like that rock gif, you know. And one thing I will say, though, in regards to sales, you know, assuming, you know, that this is like, you know, a new initiative of Nintendo starting to bring the 3DS library over, I don't necessarily think, you know, Samus Returns not selling great is going to be indicative of its placement, because, you know, there's been, you know, if we look at the Wii U ports, you know, I mean, year one, we got Pokken Tournament DX, which, you know, sold nowhere near as much as Super Mario 3D World, which was the last game that we got. And there's plenty of ones in between. You know, you got Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Captain Toad as well. You know, all these smaller games that still came out beforehand. So I don't necessarily think, like, the amount of sales that it has is indicative of, you know, kind of the order they would release in. But this is all assuming that this is a scenario where they are bringing that library over.
That's a good point, though. I will note that the games you mentioned, at least Pokken Tournament, Captain Toad, whatever, these games sold at least 1 million units. So I don't think any of the games that you mentioned sold under 1 million units, even on the Wii U. So to me, I would say that at least there seems to be at least a hint of a potential threshold that they're willing to hit there But you're right. I mean, it might not necessarily be indicative of that. That said, the Wii U library does not have a
Shin
lot of.
Megami Tensei Sharp FE. I would be shocked if that hit 1 billion units on the Wii U. I want to see the sales on that.
You're right. I completely forgot about. I mean, like
I don't think
Nintendo.
But I think
Nintendo's just so weird. Like they picked a random game to bring over randomly for no reason. Other than
there could
maybe
be
we
an
are
underlying
overthinking it.
reason. It could be an underlying reason for why it got brought over. I'm just saying the Wii U also doesn't have a lot of big, like first of all, it doesn't have a huge library. Second of all, it doesn't have a big, large like best-selling library. I think there's less than 20 games that sold more than 1 million units on the Wii U, and none of them made over 10 million units sold. Like it's not like the Samus Returns is on a part of a much larger library that they have a lot more choices. If you're porting stuff over from the Wii U, you don't have as many choices, so you're gonna dig down to games that didn't sell as much, especially games that were on the Wii U, which in general did not sell as well.
This is the last thing I would say. I mean, I think Dak, you're probably right. Like the evidence and facts are certainly in your corner. They're probably bringing it over.
I'm not coming at it in an emotional way. With my heart, I want it there.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like they're probably looking at Luigi's Mansion 3 and being like, "Damn, this game did really well," and that's probably all there is to it. But I think that the door is open just enough that I can hope. I can hope. So, anyways.
I think another thing on top of that is we just got the Mario movie released, and so I think it makes sense that that we have a little bit of a surplus of Mario games that are coming out in this vicinity as well.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yep. That's why we need the Metroid movies, so that way they're like, let's get these Metroid games on the new gen consoles.
They should have waited for the inevitable Luigi's Mansion movie, I guess, or maybe they're just
making
when
Luigi's Mansion
one.
4 comes out. No, that's when Luigi's Mansion 4. You don't think they're working on another Luigi's Mansion game already?
I hope so.
Are making 3 more.
100%.
That's when did that last one come out?
Luigi's Mansion 4 is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive.
So it's already been 4 years since the last game. There's no way that.
I mean, to be fair, it was 10 years from the first to the second.
Yeah, that's true.
12
that's
actually.
This game didn't sell anywhere near as well as Luigi's Mansion 3, though. There's a big disparity there.
Now that I look at it, though, it is maybe there's another reason why Dark Moon came to the Switch is that it's been 4 years since the last Luigi's Mansion game, and maybe they wanted to put out that one as a stopgap between this and the new Luigi's Mansion 4.
Yep, I think that's
throw that in there.
I think that's very probably likely as well.
Whereas we got Metroid Prime Remastered, which I feel maybe is more of a stopgap between Metroid Dread and whatever next is coming from Metroid, and not Samus Returns again on the Switch.
Okay, well, I won't stop believing until every ounce of me.
Why don't you want like Hunters or Pinball or something instead of Samus Returns? Put your energy towards that. Can't you go and play Samus Returns on the 3DS?
Here, let me tell you why. It's because I feel like Hunters and Pinball got like a fair shot. And I feel like Samus Returns didn't. It was a really great Metroid game, the first new Metroid game in a long time, and it was just sent out to die. Like it was sent out to die on the old system. That it should have been a Switch game, and if they needed to delay it to 2018 to make that a Switch game, like I think they should have done it. Whatever, it is what it is. But I do feel like it got kind of the short end of the stick. But I do want to move on here to another announcement that we saw in this Nintendo Direct, and something that gives me a lot more hope, I would say, than Samus Returns, which is obviously a fool's hope. But we saw that Pikmin 1 and 2 are coming to the Nintendo eShop and getting a bundled physical release later in September. I think it's not... Well, I can't say I think it would be likely, but I can't say that I also don't think it's impossible that maybe Metroid Prime 2 and 3 could see kind of the same treatment. Am I going to say it's over 50%? I don't think so, but obviously certainly higher than Samus Returns. I think that's something that I could see, because I think clearly... Maybe not clearly, but like we were talking about this, I think last week or the week before Doom, where like Dak and I were like, I don't think Metroid Prime 2 and 3 are getting like the HD treatment. I think if they come, they're going to come kind of as is. And I could see that maybe like following suit and releasing on the eShop digitally for like $30 a pop or something like that. Maybe it's $50 for the bundle. I don't know, but I could see that. And maybe, again, this is kind of a precedent, and like again, when you kind of get into like the last days of a console, you get that stuff that fills up those release calendars. So maybe this could be something that we can look forward to soon.
Real quick before you respond to that, Doom, I I'm glad you brought that up, Andy, because this is what I gave me more hope, not the Dark Moon Samus Returns nonsense that you're subscribed to. But this, I saw this and I was like, oh, they could do this for the other Metroid Prime games. That's what I thought immediately when I saw this, because truthfully, I'm not. I mean, I should try it. I never really gave Pikmin a fair shake. I should try them out.
Dude, you would love Pikmin.
Play
It's
play
so
the demo.
fun.
Dak, so here's the thing, Dak. I was in your camp too. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm happy for Pikmin fans, but I don't know. It doesn't. The art direction, it's a little too cutesy for me. It doesn't really resonate with me. I played the Pikmin 3 Deluxe demo and I fell in love with this game, Dak. I can't say that you're going to fall in love with it as much as I did, but like I played the demo and immediately I was like, I get it now. I'm a fan. And so, yeah.
Well, I won't say that it's because it's artsy or the art style or because it's cutesy or anything like that. That's not why. I just never really looked at the gameplay and thought it would be something that would interest me. But you know what? I should give it a fair shake. And if there is a demo, there's really no good reason for me not to do it. But I did see this and I thought, yeah, you put Metroid Prime Remastered out there, and it did, I think, pretty well for a remaster that just kind of got shadow dropped out of nowhere. You put 1 and 2, 2 and 3 for Metroid Prime, put that out there, and then you have all 3 Prime games on the Switch just like that. Yeah, I think seeing this, absolutely. And if they're not going to remaster the game, I could absolutely see them re-releasing 2 and 3, like the trilogy versions, whatever it is, for $30 a pop or $50 for the bundle, whatever it is, and call it Metroid Prime 2 and 3, 2 plus 3, whatever it is. Like, yeah, I saw this and I definitely thought Metroid way more than Dark Moon for Samus Returns. I think this, for Samus percentages, if we're doing that, not that it was low to begin with, because I still kind of thought it was likely, but absolutely a lot higher. A lot higher. I could definitely, I even say,
would you take the over 50?
Yes, I think we're in like the 70s range. I think we're in like the 70s range. I would say like a 75, maybe even 80. I would not be surprised if by the end of this year, Prime 2 and Prime 3, if not maybe at the beginning of next year, but maybe at the end of this year, we see them come to the eShop.
I could see that as like a quiet December release, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with basically everything Dak just said. I was more so in the camp that we were going to get these, but it was very close to 50%, but just slightly over. After seeing this, now it's like well into like the 80s, where it's just like, okay, this is precisely how I see them handling 2 and 3 at this point. As much as I would love to have those games remastered, just for Sanctuary Fortress alone, my God, that would be incredible. But I don't see that happening. It doesn't feel likely, especially because, while, the Prime 1 remastered, it did fine. It did good. It didn't do great. It didn't do amazing. And obviously, if 2 and 3 were going to be remastered, they aren't going to sell anywhere near as much as that Prime 1 remaster. And I don't see Nintendo wanting to put those kind of resources into that game. But like having, the complete Metroid Prime collection on Switch, especially if they're going to do that with the Pikmin games of all series. Yeah, like this, it just makes sense. And like this is a perfectly adequate structure to do that. I'm not even sure if I could see them happening this year. I feel like it would be similar to where these games, they're coming out the month before Pikmin 4. I could see Prime 2 and 3 as a collection coming out maybe, a month or two before Prime 4 with, a physical release later on down the line, with kind of that digital release getting the head start.
I would agree if Prime 4 was coming out only for the Switch. Pikmin 4 seems to be coming. I mean, I'm sure they're going to port Pikmin 4 to the new console, but at the moment it's a Switch game.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4, I don't think they're going to release Metroid Prime 4 on the new console and on the Switch and release Prime 2 and Prime 3. Like, that's a lot of Metroid Prime all at once. I do think, though, that maybe they could release Prime 2 and 3 around the same time they released Remastered this year. Around February or whatever. It's like that kind of like low area of the year where it's right after the holiday season. There's no major holiday and nothing else is really kind of getting released. I feel like I would not be surprised. Maybe it comes out. I'm going to change my answer to that.
And especially once you kind of start gearing up for a new console, like there's a lot of lean months at the last, little bit before the new console launches. I think
a game
that
you
would
put
be,
out for those months. Not Samus Returns for the Switch, but Metroid Prime 2 and 3, Andy.
Do them both.
That's what moves plastic right there.
Well, here's a question for you guys, though. If they're doing that, I assume that the tank controls are the only controls in Metroid Prime 2, and I guess...
No.
Like, do you think that they do...
I'm going to counter that, actually.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Actually. Let me ask you a question, because I was going to ask about the Pikmin ports. Is the controls, are they the same? Like, did they update them at all? I'm not sure.
Yeah, so you have the standard controls, but you also have the motion controls from the Wii ports of that game. It's the
Oh, okay. Well,
Pikmin
then I take
ports.
it
I haven't
back.
played them yet. I haven't played them yet, but from what I understand, they're actually like they're pretty decent ports. There's like texture upgrades, obviously, 1080p, but yeah, there's also like a lot of quality of life improvements, not just ported from the Wii version, but added into this version as well. So I could definitely see Prime 2 and 3 kind of towing the line between kind of in that area. Not quite, not quite like a Skyward Sword HD or a Wind Waker HD, but definitely above the quality we'd see in like the 3D All Stars collection, which was like bare minimum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess my thought on that is like if you're producing these games and the idea is to kind of make them, let's call it what is like a cheap release that you can get out. I don't know that they'd have like the dual analog controls that we saw in Metroid Prime HD. Maybe they would, but I think that they could
I
probably
think they would
definitely.
absolutely.
Well, I don't
I
know if they
don't.
would though because it's not part of the base game. Like I think they could have the
Yeah.
gyro controls from Prime
I
Trilogy.
do think the bare minimum is they'll have what was in Trilogy. Like you'll be able
Yeah.
to use the original controls with a GameCube controller, whatever it is, and you'll be able to use the motion controls with the whatever. But Andy, I'm on the fence there because on one hand I feel like the dual analog is like I don't know game dev wise if that would require like a huge implementation of that or like the game
Right.
being rebuilt or whatever. But like
If
I
it
do
was
think if they're
easy
going
to
release
do,
it
I
as
think they'd
yeah.
do it. If it's
But
if
I
it's
don't think it's a
huge
guarantee.
undertaking, no, I don't either.
I agree it's not a guarantee because it wasn't in the base game. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think they're absolutely doing if these games come out, that's if these games come out, absolutely they're gonna have dual analog. I will die on that hill.
You guys are picking the weirdest hills as fans to die on. Samus Returns coming to the Switch and non-remastered ports having dual analog.
What hill are you dying on today, Dak?
I don't think there is a hill that needs to die on in Metroid at the moment. I really don't. I really don't. I'm gonna say that.
This
So,
guy.
but I
Ah,
appreciate your passion and your valor as fans, but not for me.
Okay, well, yeah, I felt pretty good about Metroid Prime's chances of getting onto the Switch after seeing Pikmin show up. I really hope that you give Pikmin a try. By the way, it's super fun. So yeah, really quick, I guess. So that's what we got.
I just want to say the Pikmin 4 demo. By the time this episode releases, it should be coming out the Friday. So this will be releasing on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and the demo comes out on a Friday. So yeah, you should all definitely check that out when
Oh,
it
the demo's
releases.
not even out yet.
Well, you can the
Does
Pikmin 3 demo.
have
You
a
can play that
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now. The
You're
Pikmin
talking
4
about
demo
Pikmin
comes
4.
out later in the week.
All right, maybe I'll just wait for that then. Wait for Pikmin 4.
You should try. Honestly, Pikmin 3 is one of the most, in terms of just like fun. It's one of the most fun video games I've ever played, and it doesn't overstay. It's a lot like Metroid Prime in a way that like Metroid Prime is this great, gorgeous looking adventure that doesn't, it lasts like 10 hours. You can do everything that there is to do. I played 20 hours of Pikmin 3 and just like loved every minute of it, and then put it away, and I was like, that's great.
Yeah, maybe I got to do that because I was telling you guys I was playing some new games recently, and I mean I'm playing Power Wash Simulator right now, which not gonna lie,
Nice.
I'm enjoying a lot. But I'm kind of in between games at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. I've been getting back on RPG Maker and like other stuff. I'm ready. I'm ready for Starfield, and an Armored Core is what I want. But yeah, I'll give it a try because I never really give Pikmin the time of day, so maybe I have to.
All right, well, let's really quickly. We got a few minutes to kill here. Let's just talk about this Nintendo Direct. We talked about the Metroid side of it, but there was a bunch of cool stuff that was announced, and obviously for me, Pikmin 4 was kind of like the game that I was really excited about because I am a big Pikmin fan. I think that game looks super awesome, but I think the game that got the most buzz, well, I guess you could argue, but at least for me, the game that got the most buzz was the Super Mario RPG remake, and that's like one of my favorite games ever. I love that game so much, and I do want to tell you, gentlemen, both something right here, right now. After the trailer came out, I was kind of like, I don't know if I love that art style. It's a bit too polished. It's a bit too blocky.
Looks so fun. I love it.
Hold on, I rewatched the trailer, and I was like, you know what? They still do kind of have a little bit of that like clunky toy-like aspect to it. So I got on board and I was like, okay, like stop complaining, Spiteri. This looks pretty cool.
I love that.
I'm stoked for this. Like I love Mario RPG. It's so charming and so just like I just remember playing it as a kid. I can't wait to buy this game in November when it comes out, and maybe we'll get Gino in the next Smash game.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, Mallow, please. Mallow.
Die on that hill.
I was really happy to see that because Paper Mario 1000 Year Door and Paper Mario 64, but especially 1000 Year Door, that's one of my favorite games of all time, and I've always wanted like the resurgence of Mario RPGs, and I also really love the Mario Luigi series as well, and I feel like now both of them are kind of in a weird state. So it's nice, even though it's a remake, to kind of see Super Mario RPG in a way backed and literally and figuratively. So like that was really fun. I thought it was really cool. It was definitely one of those games I honestly never really thought was gonna get like re-released or remastered. I always kind of felt like one of those games that just kind of was stuck out there. I did think Super Metroid was going to potentially be the rumored Super Nintendo remake. I was holding out for Chrono Trigger, and part of me at one point, I want to say at a fleeting like, it could be Mario RPG, but like just because I was thinking of RPGs on the Super Nintendo, not specifically because of that game, but I really want a Chrono Trigger. So I saw this, and I was like, oh, I got an RPG and I got Super Mario RPG. I thought it looks really funny. It looks really great. Like, I think it really I was actually disappointed it wasn't a shadow drop because I was ready to buy it.
Oh, right then, I would have bought it right then.
I would have been started playing it. That would have been great. But I guess they want to have a little lead time. But yeah, that was my game of the direct. Though I thought Super Mario Brothers Wonder also looked like pretty Elephant Mario. Man, come on.
Did you see the Animorphs meme? God, that was good.
Yeah, like I'm ready for Elephant Mario.
Can I tell you guys that you're gonna laugh your ass off at me when you hear this? But so there was all those rumors that were flying around about there's going to be an SNES game remade, and I'm thinking to myself okay, I don't really think Super Metroid is going to be the game. I don't think it needs a remake. I don't think Chrono Trigger it's still so awesome to play. It looks awesome, and I was thinking the same about Mario RPG, and I was kind of I think it might be Earthbound. Because I was I don't know, maybe they'll do something with this series, and what else do you do other than guess. Well, I was I don't know, just remake it, make it look pretty, and try it for a new audience. I don't know. So I kind of thought that it might be that, and I wasn't disappointed, obviously, with Mario RPG at all. But I do hope Earthbound gets that one day, because I think it would do maybe decent. I don't know.
So regarding Super Mario RPG, I need to preface this with something, and I need y'all to put down your torches and pitchforks for a moment. Let me explain. Trust me. No, just wait. Just trust me on this.
It's gonna be worse. I can feel it.
Oh, you have no idea. Just wait. So, I notoriously do not like RPGs. I've never been able to get into them. I think turn-based combat is boring. It's not for me. If it's your thing, hey, that's cool. But it's never really appealed to me.
Okay.
This game looks amazing. I want this. This is my game of the show. I want this. I want to play this right now. This looks so good. It's beautiful. I think this is one of the 3 or 4 best looking games on the Switch. Oh my gosh. I've never in a million years would have imagined that a freaking RPG, a turn-based RPG, would be my most anticipated game of the year. But here we are. Oh my god, this looks so amazing. I want to play this right now.
Okay, first of all, I feel so bad for you for missing out on all these legendary games that are RPGs. And second of all, I can't wait to recommend you all these legendary RPGs to play after you fall in love with role-playing. Yeah, this game looks awesome. It looks so good. Did we see Boshi in the trailer, by the way? I thought I spotted him.
Was there Boshi?
I don't know.
I thought that we didn't see Boshi yet.
Oh man, I was kind of looking up for
in the trailer as an action figure.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yes, that's in the original game though.
Yeah. Samus herself is in the original. game.
If you if you're gonna enjoy Super Mario RPG, definitely play the Paper Mario series too, because I feel like it is. If you've played Paper Mario, it's not a step back, but it came beforehand, so it doesn't have as the Paper Mario battle system. I'm pretty sure it's if I remember correctly, a pretty standard.
Similar. Yeah,
pretty. It's similar, but I don't think it has the same timing stuff that Paper Mario had. It has you can defend, but you can't do the parries and
it's
counter.
more traditionally turn based. It's
exactly,
made by
it's more traditional.
I'm actually playing Paper Mario right now. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's a more traditional JRPG essentially, which I think is very. I personally have always found it to be very fascinating about the game because I played Paper Mario first, and that feels like a Mario RPG, Whereas Super Mario RPG feels like a JRPG just with Mario characters over it, which I feel like is, if you enjoy that, is great, because I love regular traditional RPGs in general. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool that they're bringing that back, and I am also, I not as apparently as excited as Doom is, even though I don't know how excited you're going to be when you actually start playing the game and realize it is in fact a turn-based RPG.
I was just stunned because I never in a million years would have expected me to be this excited about Super Mario RPG. But like, man, this game, something about this trailer, I don't know if it's just visually the art style really appeals to me. Like,
I love the art style.
I think it's one of the three best looking games on Switch. You put this up there with Prime Remastered and Luigi's Mansion 3. I think it's one of the best looking, at least from this specific trailer.
I think we were saying in the Discord, Andy, it's like in New Super Mario Brothers, if you never grab like a mushroom, you just stay tiny mode all the time. Just like that's how it looks. And I always love that about New Super Mario Brothers, how they brought like the small 2D Mario out to like 2.5D, and he just looks like a little squished Mario. I always thought that was funny, and I think it translates really well for like the toy-esque kind of aesthetic that Super Mario RPG goes for. So yeah, I'm excited for that game.
I'm stoked. It's going to be so awesome. I'm not as sold on Super Mario Wonder. The trailer looked great. The elephant gimmick was fun. Like it. I can't quite put my finger on it, actually. I don't know what it is, but there's something about 2D Mario to me now that's just kind of like not as appealing. Like even like 3D World, I was just kind of like, I don't really want this. So I never played it, which I've heard is a massive mistake because I heard it's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's such like. I remember getting New Super Mario Bros. And thinking that it was super bland, like back in the day. What did that come out, like 2006?
I love New Super Mario Brothers, man.
Let me correct. I got the Wii one, not the DS one.
I remember getting the DS one because I had the fun mini games.
Yeah, I like the DS one, but afterwards I never really got into them.
I don't know what it is. It didn't like grab me, which is too bad because it looked. You know what it looked like? It looked like the coolest levels in Tropical Freeze, actually, in a lot of places.
Well, they had the little silhouette stage for one, which is like I thought like, oh, Donkey Kong did that.
Honestly, I mean, of all the series this reminds me of, I actually got a lot of Rayman vibes, weirdly enough, from this trailer.
I got Rayman vibes from the character, the little thing that floats around Mario or whatever that talks, which I thought was weird.
Flower.
That was weird to hear, like someone speaking in a Mario game, like in a 2D Mario game. I feel like in a 3D Mario game, I guess I'm more used to it, but like in that, it was just like jarring. When New Super Mario Bros. Came out, I really enjoyed it. Like I don't know, there's something like so good about a good 2D Mario. Like I mean, I grew up playing like Super Mario Brothers 3 and like Super Mario World, like at my uncle's place, and like I had the Game Boy Advance like re-releases. Like I enjoy those games a lot. But in general, I enjoy 3D games over 2D games. Like I would obviously love a 3D Mario over that, but there's just something about it. Like it felt like more inventive. I love the style of it. Like the music sounded cool. It didn't feel like another new Super Mario Brothers to me. At first it did. At first, like the aesthetic was like, oh, it just looks like another new Super Mario Brothers. But then like it definitely feel like they're really trying to change it up a little bit. And I don't know, there's just something good about just some good old 2D Mario that like, I might jump in. I think I wasn't as sold the first time I saw it. When I rewatched the trailer a second time, I was like, oh, this actually looks like a lot of fun. And it looks like something that you'd have a lot of fun playing with friends, which also New Super Mario Brothers was good at. I thought was playing with friends. So
right.
I am excited. I'm excited for both of the Marios and the new Peach game, which also looks fun.
That looks awesome.
That looks cool, and I liked Super Princess Peach back on the DS, and I also thought it was very fun because I had heard the new 2D Mario and new remake rumors. It was cool to see the Peach game come out, and I was like, oh, that must be the new 2D Mario game they were talking about. And then you get Super Mario Wonder, and I'm like, oh, that was what they were talking about. And it's like an acid trip of a Mario game. Like it looks like they're really trying to get out there with the gameplay and the aesthetic, and I thought it looks a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a try. I thought again, this direct had a bunch of games where I was like, I'm actually looking forward to a bunch of stuff that they announced.
I think I'm gonna get it too, but there's something. But I think like maybe playing this is gonna be a cure for my 2D Mario issue. But yeah, go ahead, dude.
I was gonna say, I think I'm on the polar opposite side of you, Andy, where I'm super hyped for the Super Mario Brothers Wonder, but I'm not quite feeling the Peach game yet. But like to be fair, that's just because we've only seen like 10 seconds of
Yeah.
gameplay. Personally, I think they should have held that back till maybe September or even maybe the February direct. Because I don't know, I don't think this was the right time to announce that. But oh my gosh, like it has been so long since I've been excited for a 2D Mario, and it feels like so great to finally like genuinely be anticipating it again. I mean, this game, it looks wacky, it's creative, it's unique, it's original, it's stylish. It doesn't look like this it doesn't look like this sterile, bland, intensely focus tested, kind of look like the later New Super Mario Brothers games look.
Mm.
It looks like there's like genuine heart and passion put into it, and like I feel like we've only gotten a fraction of what this game has to offer. So I feel like there's going to be, when that September direct hits, like we're going to learn even more. Like I'm already sold on the game. This is a day one buy for me. But like I feel like there's going to be so much more under the surface that we don't even know about. Like I mean, Daisy's a playable character in this game. Like what? What on earth? Like there's gonna be more playable characters. There's gonna be more playable characters.
Someone needs to start a Mario podcast with this guy. He is
Yeah,
hyped
no
for
kidding.
this new Mario. Jesus.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
man.
like Daisy being playable to
Games for
me,
Mario.
I'm just like whatever. Like I don't care about Daisy, but I will say I do think you're right. Looks like it has a ton of personality. It looks like it's not just like a crappy like Mario game to release as a placeholder. It does look like it's got some a lot of creativity behind it. So I think I am gonna get it too, just because I don't want to be this like.
We need a Metroid game in this style.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Trippy acid
Samus
trip
Returns?
Metroid. I'm down. Yes.
I don't know if I agree
no.
with that, but
Yeah, why not? I say we do it. Metroid 6.
Anytime
Metroid
anyone
Wonder.
says we need a Metroid game
Metroid
like this, I
Wonder.
just say yes. Why not? Let's
so
do it.
personally, I've been advocating for this for a while. But if we did get a Super Metroid remake, I've been advocating that we should get it in like the kind of HD 2.5D style that like those Square RPGs have been
Oh,
getting. I feel
no.
like that would be
Traveler,
No,
that would be
yes.
perfect for Super
that would
Metroid.
suck. No, I'm sorry. If we
I
get
would
it,
love to see
I want
that.
like HD dread like textures.
I want that for Fusion, but I feel like Super Metroid, like I want it to like kind of
No.
embrace kind of more of those retro roots a little bit. I feel like you want to do that for Super
Even
Metroid.
if it doesn't have to be Super Metroid, I would just love a Metroid game in like a 2D pixel style again. Really, I would. I would love to see. I feel like there's so many cool things you can do. It doesn't have to like 2.5D is cool, but I don't know. Like I would love if maybe they tried to go a little more stylistic with Metroid like once. Like why not? Like give it a shot. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff you can do to try to if you try to break down the boundaries of what you can and can't do with an art style, I think opens you up to a lot of cool and innovation. I don't know.
I would obviously buy that game, but that's not what I want for Metroid. Like if they were to remake Chrono Trigger in that art style, like
We need a Metroid
yeah.
RPG. Metroid RPG, and then we do it in that art style. How about that? And
I-
then that way
I mean,
you get the game you
I was
want.
about to say I would have grown before. I would have grown before, but after Super Mario RPG, maybe it's not a bad idea.
Hey,
That's what I'm
you're gonna love
saying.
that game. I mean, if it's Metroid, I'm gonna buy it. But I played a lot of those 2.5D art style games, and I don't see it jiving well with Metroid. But I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it's one of those things you got to see to believe. Okay, a couple quick hits here. Some stuff that stood out to me. I am stoked that the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is coming to the Switch. I am like so stoked. Although I wish, and this will never happen, but I wish that they had included Twin Snakes somehow, some way, because that is the definitive way to play Metal Gear Solid 1. I don't care what anybody says. So yeah.
I hear there's a certain sea mammal that's really good at playing that game, but you didn't hear it from me.
I'm just gonna buy the collection on PC because I want to play Snake Eater.
Yeah.
So that's primarily because I love that game. I love Metal Gear Solid 3. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, but I'm gonna buy it on PC. Sorry, Switch. Unfortunately, any third-party game that releases on you, I'm not gonna buy it. I will buy it on Steam. Which that's one thing I love about Nintendo Directs. I get to find out a bunch of games that didn't know are on Steam. Like they're like, look, this game's coming to Switch. I'm like, well, that game looks fun. Is it on PC? Oh, it is. Great. I'm gonna go buy it there. That's literally what happens almost every direct, and that's one thing I always love about it, because you get these, even the small indie games, it's perfect for that. Like, oh, this game that was on PC 2 years ago, it's on Switch now. I didn't even know it was on PC. Awesome, I'm gonna go play it there. That is one of those games for me, but I am excited to see that it's even existing at all.
There you go.
Yeah,
that,
this collection
that
was
is his
first
hill to
announced
die
during-
on.
Yeah, this collection was first announced during the PlayStation showcase last month, but we didn't get too many details about it. We finally got like all the big blowout on this, along with the rest of the platforms that's coming out. This collection looks awesome, dude. This is another easy day one buy for me. Honestly, I'm thinking of double dipping on this. Honestly, I might get this. I'm definitely getting it on Xbox. I might get it on PC, and I might even triple dip and get a Switch version too if I'm feeling it.
That's crazy.
I might. I'm not committed. I'm not committed, but I'm
Mario
the
and
thought has
Metal
been
Gear
planted.
Solid fan over here.
Dude, I said I would
so
never in my life start another podcast, but if I ever did, baby, it'd be Metal Gear Solid.
You won't start another podcast, man? I don't believe you.
No, I won't. If I do it, you need to lobotomize me. Okay, you know what?
Well, the thing that I love about this collection is that this is the first time that the original PlayStation Metal Gear is finally leaving Sony consoles. Like, it's never been ported to PC before, never been ported, outside of the Sony sphere. So this is the first time that Xbox and PC and Nintendo can, experience the original Metal Gear, and there's rumors that MGS4 is going to be on Volume 2, which that hasn't even left
That
the
would be
PS3. So if
wicked.
that happens,
Yes.
I would love to replay that.
I have that game, and I don't even
I'm
have a
not an
PS3
MGS4
anymore.
fan, but I want that ported.
Yeah, man, can you imagine if they ported? Imagine if they ported Metal Gear Solid 4 to Twin Snakes. I would literally die. I'd go buy a lottery ticket or something.
Metal Gear Solid 4, I am ready to sit down with a big bag of popcorn and watch that movie. I can't wait to do that. That's one of my favorite movies.
I love that. I love Metal Gear Solid so much. I love that game.
Metal Gear Solid 4 is a game that I distinctly also remember loving the lead up to, because it was such a hugely anticipated game at the time.
And all those characters kind of came back too. That it was awesome.
Yeah. Very cool game.
All right, another game that kind of stuck out to me. I wasn't expecting it to. I thought this Star Ocean game actually looked kind of cool. It's a game I've heard about before. Doom, you'd probably hate it. It's an old RPG, but it was kind of like a spacefaring sci-fi RPG. I don't know. I might check it out one day if the price is right.
I hear a lot of people online talking about this game. I'll be honest, I can't even remember what this game looked like, if I'm being completely honest.
I mean, it was
been around for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been. You've probably heard of. Wasn't there one on the GameCube?
I think like if you can picture a PlayStation 1 JRPG, it kind of has like that kind of aesthetic to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. There wasn't a whole lot. We've kind of talked about everything else that looked cool. Luigi's Mansion.
I'm thinking of Phantasy
Pikmin.
Star Online. That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, not Star Ocean. I'm getting the two mixed up with Phantasy Star Online.
That was the only online GameCube game, I'm pretty sure, right?
I think I want to say yes, because it had its own thing you connected with, and no other game had that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what else was cool? I'm gonna be that guy. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm gonna buy it, but I like Detective Pikachu. By God, I do own the first one actually, and it's okay if you're into Pokemon and you're into Phoenix, right? It's kind of like a nice little blending of the two.
Another big announcement I liked. It's not something. Again, it's not something I'm gonna buy because I already own it on Xbox, and recently I just bought it on PC too. But I'm so happy that the Batman Arkham trilogy is finally on Switch. The game had a ratings leak like over a year ago now, and I've just been waiting for this to get announced. And so I'm really happy that people who just own a Switch can finally play it, or people who just want to play it portably can now finally experience all three of these incredible games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to give everyone a quick shout to the game that I thought was also a nice little sleeper and thrown in there. I'm a big fan of the WarioWare series, and one of my favorite games for the Wii was WarioWare Smooth Moves, and we now are getting a kind of a sequel to that with Move It, I think, is it called now?
WarioWare Move It.
WarioWare Move It, not movement. I love Smooth Moves, and I wish this game. I hope it has a multiplayer online. That would be sick. But if not, I'll play it in person. Smooth Moves, one of my favorite. I still have it for the Wii, and I love that the motion gameplay. I always thought was stupid and funny. I know the other WarioWare game came out, and that was also fun, but it had different kinds of games. It wasn't like the motion based ones. But yeah, I mean, new WarioWare. That's always cool. So
Cool.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about this game, but then every time I get reminded, it's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I should pick that up.
I never really got into WarioWare, and actually when the Game Boy Advance games came on NSO, I played it.
it's a good party game.
Yeah, you know what? It
You know,
probably is. Like
It's
like,
a good game to have in your back pocket, like when you got people over or something.
Yeah,
It's what 1-2 Switch witches it could be.
wasn't there? There's a sequel to that or whatever, wasn't there?
Everybody 1-2 Switch.
Oh
the
yeah,
game
baby.
Nintendo was so embarrassed about they didn't even put it in the direct.
Yeah, but that's because they did a whole like video. They did it had its own direct. It had like a video with like a bunch of people in a ballroom doing it.
Did they hire like a bunch of influencers to try and convince us that this was a really cool game?
Apparently, but I feel like I looked at them and I didn't recognize any of them at all, and I was like, I
Tears
work
of
in
the
this
Kingdom.
field.
There's a new game of the year in town.
Actually, one low key cool announcement was the Tears of the Kingdom amiibo, which I'm a big fan of because we got like a million gajillion Link amiibo, but not a lot of Ganondorf or Zelda for that matter. So I was excited about that. Yeah, overall a pretty good Nintendo Direct, I would say. One of the better ones I've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm. I was very weirdly paced, but I think that was more so. I think that was more so just like we were talking about at the top that we're starting to wind down now. But again, like even the awkward pacing and the lack of Metroid news aside, like I thought that was a great direct. I mean, the fact that an RPG is my most anticipated game this year is just like that. It feels. I feel like this is a non-canon event for all you Spider-Verse fans out there.
God, so like you never played Final Fantasy, you never played like Chrono Trigger, you never none of those.
I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 9. I want to say I can't remember, but I never. One. Yeah, it was like well over maybe even 2 decades ago now. So like, I can't remember any of it. Definitely not an accurate.
I mean, you played Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
I played Pokemon Red, and I played a little bit of Pokemon Stadium.
That's the only Pokemon you've ever played?
Seriously?
It's the only Pokemon. I played the Pokemon characters in Smash.
Okay.
That's crazy.
This guy's dedicated to hating RPGs. I respect that.
I don't hate them. They're just not for me. Except for potentially Super Mario RPG now.
Okay. Well, you know what? I never liked poutine until I went to Montreal, and now I love it. So maybe this is the one that just embrace it. It opens the door for you. Maybe
you need a Canadian RPG. An RPG that takes place in Canada. Is that a thing?
I saw a game called Super Blood Hockey for like $2 on the eShop, and I almost bought it. And it looked ridiculous. It looked so good. Probably not worth $2, but hey, whatever. Okay, any final thoughts on this direct or anything else before we get out of here, gentlemen?
Samus Returns probably not happening. Prime 2 and 3 very likely. Can't wait for Switch 2 so that we can finally get some Prime 4 news.
There you go.
No, but I just want to say I saw Dead & Company twice in the past week. Shout out to any of my Deadheads out there. It was a sick show, and if you can see them before their final tour ends, go and do it because they're awesome and they're killing it this year.
There you go.
That's all I
got. Sending well wishes to the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, with a broken arm or whatever it is.
Actually, one more plug. I wanted to make this last time I was on the podcast, and then I forgot. And then obviously I've been a while since then. But recently I remastered the Metroid Prime soundtrack last month, and you can download that right now from OmegaMetroid.com. And we even have a behind the scenes article where you can check out like all of the changes and the processes that went through that. And I'm genuinely really proud of how it turned out. It's personally one of my favorite pieces of musical work that I've created. And so if you want to listen to the Metroid Prime soundtrack like you've never heard it before, check it out right now. It won't cost you a penny.
There you go. There it is. All right. Well, excellent work, Doom, and it sounds better than ever. So check it out on OmegaMetroid.com. Check out OmegaMetroid.com for all your Metroid needs. You got, oh my goodness, maps, guides, missile locations, news, all the kinds of stuff there. You can check us out over on Patreon as well. And you can check us out over on Twitter. We are at Omega Metroid Pod. I'm at Spateri316. Dak is at DakCity_, and Doom is at Doom_Cross. And check us out wherever you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, leave us a sweet 5-star review. We would love to see that. That, my friends, is it for today. But we're going to be doing a fan Q&A next week. So ask a Metroid question, get a Metroid answer. That's coming up next week, so we'll have a tweet going up for that shortly. Until then, everybody, take care.